20 When question time comes up at meetings where I've been a speaker, at times I'm asked, what are the best things entrepreneurs can do for their community? In truth, I think the highest priority is for you to make your company highly successful. That includes profitability. Why? First, to ensure the continuity of the business and the jobs of your associates. Second, to ensure that the company can go through tough times as well as good times. It's important to have very good earnings in the good times because you know the tough times will come when earnings decrease or disappear. The company will be more likely to survive if you've built a strong foundation. Third, if your company is profitable and you are able, hopefully you are also willing and eager to share the good things profits can bring with your associates. This includes better benefits and more pay. Fourth, it will provide great joy for you when you are in a position to give back to your community with your time and financial ability. Although money is not the only motivator, and sometimes a highly overrated one, it's a wonderful way to keep score, and it's very thrilling for an entrepreneur to share the company's good fortune with associates. What are profits for? Hellsberg Hint 57. Giving is joyful, and I always have looked at it as selfish rather than generous on my part because I enjoy it so much. One of my greatest mentors taught me that sharing is a great part of the fun, in as much as you can only wear one suit at a time and eat 3 meals a day without getting overly calorified. At Hellsberg Diamonds we had a tradition of increasing individual earnings as much as 17% in the form of $21 on Thursday. Our principal and the board of the charter public school we founded, my wife and myself, along with Thomas Block, former CEO and president of H&R Block, and Lynn Brown, a community activist and educator, met with our consultant. Two of the ideas that came up were, 1. A mirror at the front door so the students could see how they looked as they walked in each day of school as the principal reminded them of the dress code, and 2. A sign telling of the $50 cash reward each student having 98% attendance would receive. We unanimously liked these ideas, and on Friday the school opened with both in place. The students were surprised to see themselves in the mirror when they walked through the doors and were thrilled to see what they could earn just for having good attendance. When my son and daughter-to-be announced their engagement, the first gift came almost the next day. My wife then reminded me that Aunt Myrtle had sent our first gift nearly 35 years earlier. I was amazed. You don't always realize the things you will later remember, but those that stand out are usually the ones that happen first. By acting with a sense of urgency, you are modeling the behavior you want from your associates. You have every right to expect them to act with urgency and get the job done if you do so when appropriate. A sense of urgency. Hellsberg Hint. Have you ever sent a gift and then received a thank you note right away? Think about the gifts you've sent and waited for an inordinately long time for the reaction, wondering if the gift arrived. The notes took the same amount of time to write. The difference in effect is worlds apart, only because of the difference in the sense of urgency. That is why I urge you to mail a thank you note to anyone who helps you the day of the help. Warm fuzzies turn very cold very quickly. Shelf life is extremely short. Nearly any action or communication means far more when done urgently. There is absolutely no substitute for the value of urgent action in the right spot. Whatever you must do, or dream you can do, begin it. Do it now. Action has genius, power, and magic in it. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, 1749–1832, poet, lawyer, playwright. Trust only movement. Alfred Adler, 1870–1937, psychologist and author. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit give top priorities a sense of urgency. Diamond suit. The longer you wait to communicate, the less sincere it appears. Diamond suit. The longer you wait on action that is high priority, the less favorable the outcome will appear. Diamond suit: if you are unable to give an answer or result as soon as you promised, tell that to the person so they know you have not forgotten, explaining the reason for the delay. A sense of urgency. 61. 6222 Many years ago I attended an outstanding retail seminar. One of the speakers was Bernard Edison, who was president of Edison Brothers Shoes, a highly successful company at that time, who said, "Our strategy is pretty good, and our execution is excellent." Whose idea was that? How many times have you heard that question? I've always been able to come up with many ideas, some of which were totally impractical and unrealistic, though they sounded exciting. My revelation is that the execution is far more important than the idea. The people I most admire are those who know how to execute. The quality of execution is far more important than the quality of the idea. I was taught at a very young age to let individuals do things their own way as much as possible, even if I thought my idea was somewhat better. That advice spoke to execution. People believe in their own ideas and will generally execute those ideas far better than someone else's. Executing an average idea well will far exceed results of a great idea executed poorly. If the person who executes believes in the idea, the likelihood of success is far greater than in cases where that person is not convinced or excited or committed. Execution is the key, not the idea. Hellsberg hint. Quality is never an accident, it is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction and skillful execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. Anonymous: one person with a belief is equal to a force of 99 who have only interests. John Stuart Mill, 1806 to 1873, philosopher and economist. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit: get great executors on your team. Diamond suit: let them do it their way as much as possible. Diamond suit: get the heck out of the way, and let them go. Execution is the key, not the idea. 63. Part 2: Decision Making. 23. One of my most prized mentors shared his wisdom: you don't need shopping centers, you need business districts. I just took that as gospel and did not think things out on my own. The country was about to explode in the mauling of America. There was very little agony in our poor decision, very little ecstasy in the result. We elected to pull out of our lease in one of the first 11 covered malls in the United States, a nearly fatal error stalling our progress and causing us to waste years of precious time and resources by pursuing the licensed jewelry department business in discount department stores. Years later, we and our advisor realized that avoiding malls was not the right posture. We pursued mall locations slowly at first and vigorously later. The lesson learned after taking the advice not to go into the covered malls was that he who takes bad advice is the one and only culprit in the scenario. Advice is advice, not a command. The mall locations later became the success of the company. We had nearly put ourselves out of business by staying out of them. One other prime learning experience, read disaster, for me personally was in the Hellsberg Diamonds mail order division. I fell in love with the concept that through the use of testing and statistics, the mail order learning and growing from your mistakes. Hellsberg hint. 67. Business could be built on absolute numerical prediction of volume of business. In those days we believed we were operating at a highly sophisticated level by measuring recency, frequency, and amount of purchases by individual customer. What a fascinating contrast to today's far more sophisticated concepts of database marketing. The more recently the customer had purchased, the more frequent the purchases, the higher dollar amount of the purchase, the more customer value. These were valid criteria, though prehistoric by today's standards. I proceeded to compute how long it would take the business to get from around $2 million to $100 million. Carrying computations on a small piece of paper in my wallet, I was figuring that would take at least 3 weeks, I am sure. At that point I never considered that you should not grow a business faster than you can handle the growth. I just imagined mammoth sales increases. Because of my rush to build the business, totally forgetting Dad's make haste slowly maxim, I exploded the business in every sense of the word. The level of testing was far out of proportion to the size of the business. It could have easily been limited to a far less significant portion of the business yet still been tested. In the mail order experience, I learned that you do not build a business from $2 million to $100 million in a 3-week period. .com users learned somewhat similar lessons more recently. Put a dollar figure on your mistakes. Whatever the learning, you can see it was an expensive education. Figure the potential cost of management mistakes if you are about to take a bold step and see if the risk/reward ratio is comfortable and valid before you make the potential mistake, or home run. Be sure to consider worst-case scenarios. 68 Decision making. Most entrepreneurs could dwell at length on their mistakes. The reason to look in the rearview mirror is to divine exactly what you learned and how you will prevent a repeat of those particular errors. Self-flagellation is a waste of time and brain power. Unreasonable buildup of fear, causing you to turn to stone and not innovate, is even worse. Of course, these are not all of my mistakes that will take another, far larger book. The positive spin to put on your errors is to see them as learning experiences rather than unproductive errors, just as Thomas Alva Edison did. Just try to keep your batting average over 500. The only place where fools may learn is the school of experience. Benjamin Franklin, 1706 to 1790, statesman, writer, and scientist. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. When you make a mistake, ask yourself, what did I learn? Diamond suit. Ask yourself, what am I going to do to prevent this from recurring? Diamond suit. Make haste slowly. Diamond suit. Misfocus will drain resources and profits from the core business. Will potential gain be worth the risk? Diamond suit. Be sure to consider worst-case scenarios and your ability to handle them financially and emotionally. Learning and growing from your mistakes. 69. 7024 We once had a highly capable retail buyer who needed to replenish our stock of a particularly popular ring. He began a dogged quest to locate the absolute lowest price for this ring. He figured there was a deal somewhere, and he had to find it. Meanwhile, we were running through our inventory of the rings and we were starting to lose sales. Unsatisfied customers went elsewhere. The buyer's fixation with finding the lowest price in the world was not only meaningless, but detrimental. He couldn't satisfy himself on cost of the item, and we grew increasingly frustrated at his inaction. We were to the point that it was better to cut any deal to buy more rings, even if it meant lower profits, to restock our shelves and satisfy our customers. Far better to lose margin than customers. The merchandise buyer had lost sight of the fact that our goal was to sell merchandise. Did overanalyzing prices get him closer to that goal? No. In fact, it had the opposite effect. Imagine a person who is so fixated on breathing pure air that he won't breathe what's available until he finds the better stuff. Of course, that person won't be around long. Analysis is an essential tool for entrepreneurs, but spending too much time analyzing a problem can mire you in the muck. The paralysis of analysis versus knee-jerk decisions. Hellsberg hint. Of non-essential details. Remain stuck too long and you can become hopelessly paralyzed. How do you know if you're beginning to overanalyze? You'll know it. Nothing is happening. You are not moving forward. I'm not advocating that you shoot from the hip. In fact, quick draws and snap decisions can be just as counterproductive and can result in quick failures and self-inflicted wounds. Impatience can lead to making half-baked decisions before you have all the facts. Step back for a moment to consider the broader context of the problem, and then choose the best solution available to you at the time and execute the steps you believe will lead to that potential solution. That may not sound profound. It's not. It's just good judgment that a lot of people forget. They miss the larger picture, the important stuff, as they obsess over meaningless details, as in the much-repeated story of the crew members who busied themselves arranging the deck chairs while the Titanic sank. Some don't act because they are afraid of failing. Others haven't a clue about the broader picture. So they focus inflexibly on what they know, even if it's meaningless detail. The best advice I've ever received about how to resist the paralysis of analysis as well as shooting from the hip is to set yourself a reasonable time limit to make decisions. A reasonable period might be 48 hours. Take out your yellow legal pad. List the issue to be decided at the top. Then, for each potential resolution, list the pluses and the minuses. This is a powerful tool for making decisions. It will force your brain to walk through a reasoning process to reach a logical outcome. It documents your decision process so you can later remember why you came to this conclusion, right or wrong. The paralysis of analysis versus knee-jerk decision 71. The feeling of having done a job well is rewarding, the feeling of having done it perfectly is fatal. Donley Feddersen, 1915–1979, radio station manager. They lose that do by it with too much care. William Shakespeare, 1564–1616, author, playwright, poet, Gratiano, in The Merchant of Venice. The artist who aims at perfection in everything achieves it in nothing. Eugene Delacroix, 1798–1863, painter. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Fixating on meaningless details can lead to the paralysis of analysis. Diamond suit. Shooting from the hip can lead to disaster. Diamond suit. Set a reasonable time limit to make a decision. Diamond suit. List the pluses and minuses of each potential decision. Diamond suit. Talk to those you respect, share with them what you have thought out, and get their reactions. Diamond suit. Make a decision. Remember, doing nothing is also a decision. 72. Decision making. 25. After signing a lease in Duluth, Minnesota, I lost a great deal of sleep knowing the market had shrunk by 3.3% in the previous 10-year period and worrying that it was still a shrinking market. The major companies in our industry had refused to lease a store there. How could some pipsqueak company know better? Upon analyzing the market, we found a downtown jeweler doing very well. We knew large volume was possible in the market. So we opened in the only major shopping center in Duluth and did well. When a developer tried to create an additional center nearby, it couldn't be done due to the lack of market vitality and growth. Sears ended up adding their new store to the existing center. The Duluth center only got stronger because of the lack of competition. The knee-jerk reaction is usually that you should enter growing markets, whether they are growing markets for products or growing geographical markets. Analyzing the whole picture told us that the only center in town would be a tremendous draw and we would be in the key location within the center. The danger of proliferation of centers seemed remote. In Houston, Texas, when economics were extremely good and the oil business, was very hot, they seemingly were putting centers up every few embracing growing markets. Hellsberg, hint 73. Blocks. The town got cut up into little pieces, that is, overbuilt retail-wise. When the oil boom crashed, everyone paid, including Hellsberg Diamonds. Lemming like we had entered that hot market and paid the price. Sometimes the growing markets where most tend to go create overbuilding and lots of competition. Maybe less exciting geographical or product areas provide greater opportunities. Remember Sam Walton? His initial focus was on small-town America, not the exciting growing markets. Wisdom comes not from experience but from meditating on experience and assimilating it. Joy Elmer Morgan, editor and co-founder, National Committee on Education by Radio. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Do not assume the conventional wisdom is right for you. Diamond suit. Less exciting geographical or product areas may represent great opportunities. 74. Decision making. 26. Danny O'Neill left a great job in corporate America because he wasn't happy. He wanted to be his own boss. Inspired by a high school year that he spent in Costa Rica, during which he picked coffee beans, Danny dreamed of roasting and selling coffee. But, as he confessed, the only thing he knew about coffee was that he liked drinking it. Hardly shy, Danny, who has the lanky build of a basketball player and a big ingratiating smile, absorbed everything there was to know about coffee beans and making coffee. He traveled the United States asking questions of everyone he could in the coffee industry. He returned to Costa Rica several times to learn what the coffee growers and coffee brokers do, and to ask farmers what contributed to growing the best coffee beans. He became passionate about coffee. Convinced the best coffee was made by air roasting the beans, he bought an air roasting machine and installed it in his basement. He sat down with business people in Kansas City to ask about best marketing, sales, and hiring practices. He personally visited fine restaurants and stores to build business relationships. He was relentless in his search for knowledge. It didn't matter that there were already giant coffee producers. Folgers had a big plant in Kansas City. Danny borrowing wisdom and knowledge about your business. Hellsberg Hint 75. Wasn't selling a new product. He was selling a product he believed was better. Many people agreed with him. Today, his business, the Roastery, has its own plant in Kansas City. Its coffee is featured in stores and gourmet restaurants nationally, and he has even begun to expand into overseas markets. The courage to ask questions is an attribute. Don't be afraid to ask people more experienced than you for their help. They'll be complimented. Many are just waiting to be asked to share their knowledge, especially with young go-getters like Danny O'Neill. You may end up with wonderful new relationships. Want to make friends? Just ask people about their businesses, and let them talk. We see it daily in the Hellsberg Entrepreneurial Mentoring Program, where business veterans gladly help newer entrepreneurs. If you hit a chord with someone you called and you respect their abilities, travel across the country or across the world to talk eyeball to eyeball. It just might change your life and your level of success. The more people you talk to, the greater the brew of ideas you will have to marinate your brain. What an enlightened age we live in. Today, we can access a mind-boggling array of information just by picking up a telephone or clicking on a mouse. Not only is more information available, it's better, and often more reliable. Humans have accumulated incredible amounts of knowledge over hundreds of years, and it's constantly being refined through experience and research. Even new inventions build on creative ideas that someone thought about before. This reservoir of knowledge and human experience creates tremendous opportunities and advantages for you as an entrepreneur. You are heir to the discoveries of many entrepreneurs who skinned their shins trying something new. It is likely other 76 decision-making. Entrepreneurs before you have experienced the same challenges and problems, and found ways to surmount them. Even so, a lot of entrepreneurs think they have to be pioneers. I define pioneers as people with arrows in their backs. You do not need to invent a new industry to start a new business. Study an existing industry and just do it lots better. Henry Ford did not invent the auto, nor did Kinko's invent copying. You have the experiences of thousands of experts and mentors at your fingertips, whether you're contacting someone over the internet or in your own business community. In most cases, to get answers, all you have to do is ask. What harm is there in asking someone with more business experience if they will help you? Okay, maybe some will be unwilling to talk with you. But worst case scenario? You wasted a phone call. What a fabulous risk-reward ratio. Many business people will reach out to share what they've learned. Now, some people think that if you ask for advice, you have to follow it explicitly. I'm obviously not a fan of that. Some people have a lot of wisdom, but they don't know what's best for you. Why not listen to many people, ponder what they have to say, and then follow your own instincts? You have to have confidence in this process. You have to believe that at some point you will reach the correct answer. It may not come overnight, though it might. So just relax, and take it one step at a time. The incredible, wonderful, and unavoidable truth is that seeking the help of others can put you light years ahead of other people who beat their heads against the wall trying to reinvent the wheel. Plus, the relationships you build are priceless. I remain close to many who have helped me. Just remember, one day someone will ask you for your help. Feel complimented, and pass it on. Borrowing wisdom and knowledge about your business. 77. We are all wholesale borrowers. In every matter that relates to invention, to use, or beauty or form, we are borrowers. Wendell Phillips, 1811 to 1884, lecturer, The Lost Arts. 1838. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Don't think you have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to start a new industry. Diamond suit. Allow your brain to marinate all the ideas that come your way, and then do what's right for you. Diamond suit. Learn on the other guy's nickel. 78. Decision making. 27. It was time for another jewelry convention, and we had our traditional meeting with the members of the 23 Jewel Club, which consisted of 2 other jewelry firms who were not competitors of ours, Meyer Jewelers from Detroit and Rudolph Jewelers from New York State. The owners were lifelong friends of Dad's and entrepreneurs who had built good businesses. We shared ideas in many areas of the business and always continued building the relationships. These meetings were attended by the executives of each firm and always proved to be fruitful. What's really going on in your industry? How can you get perceptions and realities seen through the eyes of others outside of your sphere of influence? It can be highly beneficial to aggressively pursue the enjoyment, as well as the benefits, of building relationships within your industry. It's wonderful to have friends to call around the country to discuss what they perceive is happening in the industry and what is actually happening in their businesses. You'll discover comparable events and non-comparable events. You'll also find where you are missing the boat at times. These peers will be priceless friends as well as reservoirs of unlimited information about your industry. Invite them to come and be critical of your operation. This has been helpful to me and other friends who have used this technique in their industries. Gathering information. Hellsberg. Hint. 79. Another example, Hellsberg was in a horrible pickle. Imagine being in the diamond business and not being able to get insurance. We struggled with our insurance carrier for 6 months. Our insurance company said they wouldn't renew our policy unless we put new safes in every store. The cost to tear out walls and put in new safes was prohibitive. Still, we faced losing insurance coverage for nearly 80 jewelry stores. Finally, our controller called his counterpart at our chief competitor, Zales Jewelers. Zales officials wisely knew everyone in the industry benefited from good insurance practices. They put us in contact with their insurance broker, and in 2 weeks we had insurance. Not only were we well insured, we had a better broker, all because our controller wasn't afraid to ask for help. Trading information with non-competitors and sometimes competitors can be very valuable. Recognize clearly that it carries dangers with it, as there can be leaks, but the potential advantages can be major. You need to decide what you are comfortable sharing and if you believe the advantages outweigh the possibility of information going to your competitor. If it works, this technique may lead to some constructive criticism and some big home runs in terms of profit-making ideas. I'll never forget when we learned from Rudolph Jewelers at one of our get-togethers, what a wonderful seller the mother's ring was. The mother's ring copyright was a brand new item at that time that we had not heard about. It was actually 2 wedding bands joined by the birthstones of the children. The ring proved to have an irresistible appeal during the Mother's Day season. That one idea was a major win for Hellsberg Diamonds. Hopefully, we gave Rudolph Jewelers some big winners in return. Comparing ideas, challenges, and problems is priceless. Fred Ball, a highly successful grocer, set up a small group with 80 decision-making. 5 peers who walk through each other's businesses from time to time and tell it like it is to the owner who they are visiting. Everyone understands the goal is not to flatter, but to help. The benefits of this technique cannot be overstated. This is not a Lone Ranger program. If you want things to happen, you must give your associates ownership of the program, making them part of it as well as yourself. You must make the process work. Let your associates meet with the group. If you want to destroy the execution of the ideas, you should do all the talking and give eye contact only to the top persons in the other groups. On the other hand, by letting your associates do the talking and letting peers ask about their own part of the business, you have a chance of making it work. The challenge is to defeat the NIH, not invented here, syndrome and make people receptive. You need to design the gathering with your peers and your associates carefully. The temptation will be to cover too many areas. Each person in the process should come up with agenda items well in advance, and one person should consolidate and prioritize with their input so the meeting does not try to cover too many topics and adequate time is allotted for the chosen subjects. Lots of this structural stuff depends on management styles within your group. After each of these gatherings, your own team should meet to flesh out which ideas are to be pursued and on what timetable. Then, of course, you need to follow up to check on the progress of each action item with each responsible individual. Other ways to monitor your industry include subscribing to services that will give you advertising and other materials of competitors, and assigning the checking of the internet in your industry to a responsible individual within your organization on a specific, regular basis. Check out trade associations and see what materials and information they make available to members. Attend industry seminars, subscribe to trade publications. Great places to meet people, even when the seminar is forgettable. The acronym MBWA, Management by Walking Gathering Information 81. Around, is an apt description of another important method you should be using to monitor your industry. Don't scorn competitors and do have open eyes, open ears, and an open mind. Visualize yourself as a giant sponge taking in information from all the sources and balancing it, assessing it, analyzing it, and deciding what actions should be taken. Many enterprises have tragically gone out of business because the entrepreneur had that unfortunate high level of success that creates severe deafness and blindness due to terminal arrogance. These outside resources can help your organization stay dynamic. A wise person learns by the experience of others. An ordinary person learns by his or her own experience. A fool learns by nobody's experience. Anonymous mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Avoid becoming insulated from the world outside your company. Diamond suit. Go to industry gatherings to network and find a few friends with whom you can comfortably share information. Diamond suit. Set up a peer group to critique each other's businesses. Schedule periodic rotating visits by the group. Set clear ground rules that you want criticism, not compliments. Flattery serves little purpose. Diamond suit. Avoid the feeling that you are a good company and others cannot help you improve. Resolve to go from good to great. See the excellent book Good to Great by Jim Collins. Diamond suit. Share these preparations and meetings with your top associates. 82. Decision making. 28. Dad used to say that after people pour ice water all over your idea and you still believe in it, then maybe it's right. That was just another way of saying that sometimes you have to follow your gut. I'm talking about that inner collection of feelings and emotions that can, if we heed them, guide us to make good decisions when faced with complex problems. Dad had a restless mind and was always thinking up some new promotion. Often when he was grappling with an idea, he'd walk around with a pencil and a notepad and jot down notions as they came to him. At 3 o'clock in the morning he would wake up and exclaim, "I've got the answer." Like many successful entrepreneurs I've since met, Dad relied on his intuition as much as he relied on his business plans and market forecasts. I don't think he could articulate how it all worked, nor was he one to ponder such things. But he could describe how ideas that welled up from deep within him felt right and true, and was free of doubts and second-guessing that might slow him up. Even now, some of his schemes seem bold and impetuous, but they allowed him to stand out among his peers. In 1920, after taking over the company from my grandfather, he moved following your gut, when you should trust your own feelings. Hellsberg. Hint 83. The family business into a much larger building and proclaimed himself a diamond merchant, even though he was only 17, knew little about diamonds, and offered nothing more than the usual merchandise. He understood intuitively that to potential customers diamonds represent the pinnacle of the jeweler's trade. Later on, he bought big newspaper advertisements and staged promotions, including free airplane rides and watch giveaways. People began referring to him as the Diamond Man, a description he certainly encouraged. When the post office delivered a letter to him that was addressed to the Diamond Man, Kansas City, Missouri, he used that story to make a great advertisement in the newspaper. To some people, his ideas put the company out on a limb. But to him, the ideas felt right, and usually they were right on. Dad listened to other people. He loved mentors. But perhaps, because he started out so young and had to rely on himself, he learned the value of tuning out other people's voices when they became a distraction and listening to that pristine, inner voice that is in all of us. Your inner voice talks to you through your gut feelings. Nothing mysterious about this. Your gut feelings, or intuition, emanate from your unconscious mind, a repository for all our life experiences and then some. Your mind is a sponge, absorbing everything you feel, taste, see, hear, learn, and experience every hour of the day. There's no way your conscious mind can keep track of all this data. But scientists have found that your unconscious mind is constantly processing, categorizing, and filing this data away, much as a computer might. So you have all this information available when you need it? In fact, your unconscious mind may have already dealt with a problem your conscious mind might only now be contemplating. That's why we get that aha feeling when we recognize something that we seem already to have known. 84. Decision making. Your unconscious mind has an added advantage. Unlike your conscious mind, your gut isn't fettered by conflicting opinions, self-doubt, or negative emotions that can influence your judgment. When we tune into our inner selves, we are more apt to tap into honest and straightforward emotions and feelings. It's no coincidence that you hear an executive say, after closing a big negotiation, "It just felt right." When Warren Buffett bought Helzberg Diamonds, he felt so positive about the deal that he cut out the usual due diligence to speed negotiations. Sure, Buffett did his homework, but he also had a strong intuitive response. "I can smell these things," he said. "This one smells good." It may be hard to pay attention to your feelings and emotions if you've never done it before, especially if you've grown accustomed to letting so-called experts tell you what to do. But try it for a month, and see how it goes. You might look for a quiet place where you can avoid distracting noise. Or do like Dad did and prime your mind with data and then let your unconscious work while you sleep. Some people find it easier to trigger creative ideas by being in a room full of creative people. Acting on gut feelings can save you time, allowing you to make decisions faster, especially when you don't have the luxury of trying every option. Your intuition can be wrong, but usually not so much that you can't modify an idea or even change course swiftly. Your gut also can provide a check to decisions that don't feel right. Trusting your gut isn't meant to replace using your conscious brain. The two work together. Your inner voice can validate solutions your more analytical, conscious mind suggests, energizing the decisions, and even making them truly inspired. Following your gut, when you should trust your own feelings. 85. My idea of a group decision is to look in the mirror. Warren Buffett, investor. Great spirits have always faced opposition from mediocre minds. Albert Einstein, 1879 to 1955, physicist, 1921 Nobel Prize winner. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Ask the little professor inside you, does it feel right? Diamond suit. Measure the strength of your conviction. Diamond suit. If you are conflicted, sleep on it if possible. Diamond suit. Do not underestimate the value of your gut feeling. 86. Decision making. 29 focus groups told us that Jewelry 3, the original name of our freestanding non-mall jewelry stores, was meaningless. The stores were built to look like they were never open, the stores looked like they were still under construction, and the advertising was graded far down compared to the actual store. How did we learn these things? From focus groups of non-customers and customers. Some real shockers for us. Those focus groups gave us a lot to chew on. We had no previous clue that customers were confused by the name Jewelry 3. We did not think of the branding value of Helzberg diamonds, although I remember more than one of my associates asking why we changed the name of the non-mall stores. I did not listen very well. Since then, changes have been made so all Helzberg stores now carry the same name whether they are inside or outside of malls, Helzberg diamonds. No more confusion. Focus groups are ideal for corralling qualitative information about opinions and attitudes that you can't squeeze out of a survey or a poll. People need more than 30 seconds to explain what motivates or influences them to make choices. For example, you can't learn from a telephone poll the real reason someone chooses to shop at Helzberg Diamonds rather than at Jewelry Shop X at the other end of the mall, or vice versa. Priceless information. Focus groups. Helzberg Hint 87. Most focus groups consist of 8 to 12 participants. They usually share some commonality, which forges a bond among them and makes them more willing to talk. They all might be your customers or all non-customers, but they are never made aware of who is sponsoring the focus group or the common factor among them. This way, bias is kept out of the mix, because there is neither pressure to be nice if they like the sponsor, nor disposition to be angry if they do not like the sponsor. Often valuable quality information can be gained from these groups. They can help test new ideas, improve existing projects, create new sales campaigns, and tell you what is important about customer service. Participants can talk freely, using the words that are most meaningful to them to describe what they like and what they don't like. It's little wonder that focus groups have become essential to political candidates as well as to Fortune 500 companies to plot strategies and create images. Questioning is very non-directive, such as, name the jewelers you have heard of or have shopped at. The moderator lists all the names on a blackboard or on an easel, and each name is discussed separately. It takes quite a bit of skill to bring out truly individual opinions and feelings in a group setting. Participants will be more likely to tell what they like and dislike than to go deeper and stand out in the crowd for their own opinions. Groups inherently give historical data: what happened, what didn't happen, what could have gone better, etc. However, using projective techniques and other exercises in group dynamics, talented moderators can lead group participants to give credence, or not, to future ideas. This takes some skill, so don't tread this ground lightly. A good moderator will defuse any building tension and politely redirect the efforts of a member whose dominance is intimidating other participants. The success of a focus group often depends on a creative moderator who demonstrates intelligence, verbal skills, empathy, and patience. Because a focus group is relatively small, the participants do not necessarily reflect the entire population, but they can aid decision-making. Provide entrepreneurs with great opportunities to really learn and probe unexpected areas. It's a real challenge in our large and hectic world to keep tabs on what is going on in a market. We can become so insulated that we don't pick up the available clues that can energize our businesses. Your customers and non-customers are often the experts on how you are doing. A focus group can help you tap that expertise. A focus group session can be a cornucopia of ideas for your advertising team. Words can come out spontaneously that give great inspiration to advertising folks. In addition to focus groups, quantitative research can be done in which people are asked a series of questions and the results are tallied and analyzed. Research surveys have advanced since the days of the knock-on-your-door interviewers, with the internet being a highly used medium for research. Professional moderators work best at leading discussions, but if cost is a concern, consider having a college marketing class develop a focus group project. Research can be helpful. Will you listen if you don't like the results? If not, please save your dollars. That does not mean to blindly digest the information, apply it to your situation, and then trust your gut. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit focus groups are great for gathering opinions and attitudes that are sometimes hard to quantify. Diamond suit success of a focus group depends in great part on a talented moderator who keeps the participants on task and prevents domination by one or two individuals. Diamond suit. The advantage of focus groups is in-depth information. The results may suggest further qualitative or quantitative research. Priceless information. Focus groups. 89. I think the one lesson I have learned is that there is no substitute for paying attention. Diane Sawyer, journalist and anchorwoman. All wise men share one trait in common, the ability to listen. Frank Tiger, author. 90 Decision making. 30 When I put together our first advisory board, one of the first people I called was my friend Bob Schweik, a very wise Wall Street analyst who had been extremely successful. I was straightforward with him and said, "Bob, you are a pain in the butt, so I need you on my advisory board." His advice was always to the point, unvarnished, and valuable. One day he told me why he felt I had been successful. He was characteristically blunt. "It's certainly not charisma, Barnett," he said. "But you listen to what other people say." I could live with that. In fact, I was downright flattered. Want to increase your chances of making a great decision? Find someone who disagrees with you. That might sound counterintuitive, but I've learned that getting a contrary opinion from a friend, a customer, or an advisory board member can be a way of guiding you to a more rewarding decision. Being boss doesn't make you right. Just because you make the ultimate decisions doesn't mean you have all the answers. That sign on your door doesn't make you smarter than everyone else. It just helps people find you. Sometimes it's hard to open your ears and your mind to other people, especially when you already think you fully understand the situation. Keep reminding yourself that different folks treasure the contrarian. Why constructive criticism is healthy. Hellsberg. Hint. 91. Have different perceptions. Theirs might be more accurate than yours. Do this enough times and your ears will tune in automatically to the nuances of what people are telling you. Fortunately, I've rarely had a problem with people telling me what they believe should be done. My associates would joke that I will go out on the sidewalk and ask 20 people what they think about something. That's true. However, sometimes it's hard to get honest feedback. People you work with may think you only want to hear the good things, not what is really going on. You can become desperate for the truth, so value that person who disagrees with you, for that individual is a true asset. That person may be much more valuable, possibly being the one whose good sense pulls you back from the brink of disaster. Truth is, I've had my share of disasters. Often, they struck when no one was around who was willing to tell me how wrong I was, or maybe I didn't listen very well. Another thing to remember is that people will soon grow tired of giving you advice when you don't listen attentively or you ignore them. You can't be phony. You can't manipulate people into thinking their advice matters to you, when it doesn't. People know when they're being used. If you don't want advice, don't ask. If you want to gather more brain power around you, listen. I tell my students at Rockhurst University, compliments won't help me become a better teacher. Tell me how we can improve this course. Try these 3 magic questions with associates, customers, and suppliers, if you really want the truth. 1. What do you like that we are doing? 2. What do you not like that we are doing? 3. What are we not doing that you would like? 92 Decision making. I don't want any yes men around me. I want everyone to tell the truth even though it costs him his job. Samuel Goldwyn, 1882 to 1974, American movie producer. I do not resent criticism, even when, for the sake of emphasis, it parts for the time with reality. Sir Winston Churchill, 1874 to 1965, British Prime Minister. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Listen carefully to people who offer you contrary opinions. Diamond suit. Encourage honesty and openness in all business and personal relationships. Diamond suit. Compliments are nice, but so is advice on how to improve. Diamond Suit use the 3 magic questions, worded appropriately to your target audience. Treasure the contrarian, why constructive criticism is healthy. 93. 9431 Bubble watches were plastic watches, priced cheaply at $13.88, that were all the rage at one time. We got in on the fad. It looked at the time like a quick and easy profit, but we came to realize that the customers who came in to buy bubble watches weren't interested in looking at anything else. In other words, we weren't getting any long-term benefit that would help us sell our higher-end jewelry. It became pretty obvious that the bubble watches took more time to order, display, sell, and discuss than they were actually worth to us. In the long run, they were a poor investment. After repeated discussions of whether we should continue selling them to take advantage of the fad, we concluded that regardless of the traffic and excitement they created, they did not add to our mission of being the store consumers thought of when they thought of diamonds. Who wanted to be thought of as the place to go to buy bubble watches? And what would we sell after that fad faded? Hula hoops? No way. If it doesn't sell diamonds, it doesn't belong. How many times have you seen or heard a lively discussion over whether or not to take a particular action, cut short with the old saw, but it makes a profit? End of conversation? Sticking by your overall objective, why a quick profit can be a bad Dieter Hellsberg hint. Shouldn't be. Please add a couple of challenges to that simplistic perception that profit is the be-all and end-all. It's not. First thing to ask, is whatever action we want to take getting us closer to our objective? Let me say this clearly, the objective of a business is not just to make money. That is the byproduct of a job well done. The theme at Ford one year was, does it sell cars? At Hellsberg, diamonds that inspired, does it sell diamonds? Second thing to ask, what is the return on the investment? Profit, though a simple and quantifiable measure, is far from the whole answer. End of conversation. Obsession doesn't guarantee success. On the other hand, a lack of obsession does guarantee failure. Tom Peters, business writer and speaker. Mining for diamonds. Diamond Suit. Going for quick profits that divert attention from your objective is a mistake. Gumball machines in jewelry stores might make a profit, but will they make you look like the finest diamond merchant? Diamond Suit. Ask yourself if what you are doing now, or considering doing in the future, gets you closer to your long-term objective. Diamond Suit. Remind yourself that profit is the byproduct, not the goal. Sticking by your overall objective. 95. 9632 Winston Churchill said it best, never give up. Never. 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 When Thomas Edison tested and rejected thousands of materials to develop the electric light filament, he showed dogged persistence as much as genius. I wonder if people realize how hard he had to work in spite of the genius label. He labeled these many tests successful because he learned that yet another substance would not work as filament. He understood success as a process. Failure occurs only when you give up. Each time I leave the runway in an airplane loaded with many passengers and thousands of pounds of luggage and cargo, I think about how unrealistic the Wright brothers were, and I actually question the possibility of heavier-than-air flight. Their persistence paid off, and I've been extremely gratified that this miracle of flight has occurred each time I've been aboard an airplane that attempted it. Perhaps the world's best example is Tiger Woods. In 1999 he went to his golf coach asking him to change his swing. Acknowledged as the world's best, he went to his mentor/coach and completely rebuilt his swing to new levels of success. The best keep striving. My conclusion: win, lose, or draw, you must keep trying. Yes, even when you succeed you must continue striving. On not giving up. Hellsberg hint. Nothing is impossible, there are ways that lead to everything, and if we had sufficient will we should always have sufficient means. It is often merely for an excuse that we say things are impossible. François de La Rochefoucauld, 1613–1680, French author. There is always an answer. B.C. Hellsberg, Sister Mining for Diamonds. Diamond Suit. Never give up. Never, never, never. Diamond Suit. Whether you win or lose, do not give up. Even if you win, keep practicing, learning, and improving. Diamond Suit. Remember, no matter how good it gets, you are just getting started. Diamond Suit. Don't be a realist. Pursue your dream. On not giving up. 97. 9833. The tribal wisdom of the Dakota Indians, passed on from one generation to the next, says that when you discover that you are riding a dead horse, the best strategy is to dismount. In modern business, and education and government, because past costs are taken into consideration, other strategies are often tried with dead horses, including the following: buying a stronger whip, changing riders, threatening the horse with termination, appointing a committee to study the horse, arranging to visit other sites to see how they ride dead horses, lowering the standards so that dead horses can be included, reclassifying the dead horse as living impaired, hiring outside contractors to ride the dead horse, harnessing several dead horses together to increase speed, providing additional funding and/or training to increase the dead horse's performance, doing a productivity study to see if lighter riders would improve the dead horse's performance, declaring that the dead horse carries lower overhead and therefore contributes more to the bottom line than some other horses. On giving up. Hellsberg hint. Rewriting the expected performance requirements for all horses. As a final strategy, promoting the dead horse to a supervisory position. Nearly every entrepreneur can tell stories of holding on to people too long. Undoubtedly, part of the reason is the absolute dread of firing. Any decent human shares that. Is it fair to individuals to have them in a spot where they will not progress, possibly keeping them from better earnings and a better fit elsewhere? Is it fair to the organization? Is it a choice between individuals losing jobs or everyone losing their jobs when the company fails? If you have been doing your job properly, reviewing and counseling them, the shock should certainly be minimized. Among our happiest and best decisions were throwing out the dead merchandise horses and finding that the success of the company increased proportionately. We eliminated china, crystal, all flatware, luggage, radios, small appliances, and other non-jewelry items ad infinitum and ad nauseum. The practice of optometry in a few stores ended. We found the less we sold, the better we sold what was left, fine jewelry. The time to give up on peripheral items had come. We were early in the game of giving them up. The company gained great focus and, doing fewer things, became far more successful. Certainly one of the most profitable things ever done in our company was the consistent closing of marginal stores that destroyed human resources. Who can be motivated in a weak store with the label of poor store on it, used capital, drained central office focus, and really had no reason for being? What a waste of good teammates. A modest turnaround is not nearly as profitable as sending great people to good stores to build them to great, so sending the not as strong manager to do the .34 When I was a youth, the Firestone Tire Company had a radio program each Sunday afternoon. It was as much a ritual at our house to tune in for the program as it was for thousands of other households. Years later I learned that when the idea for the radio program was first proposed, Mr. Firestone expressed a lack of interest. "Everybody plays polo on Sunday afternoon," he said. He eventually listened to others and bought the program. I enjoyed the program along with a whole generation for many years. The point is to listen to your customer, not necessarily yourself, your wife, or your third cousin. We are all victims of our own experience as well as the beneficiaries thereof. Your personal biases can dangerously skew your decisions. At one point I concluded that if my mother or wife likes some piece of merchandise, it would not be successful. Judge within the context of your customers' likes and dislikes. Judging your customer's world, not your own world. Hellsberg Hint 101. Here's a special thought for kids. Did it ever occur to you that a sweater is a garment worn by a child when his mother feels chilly? Bernard Meltzer, Edward H. Levi, Distinguished Professor Emeritus of Law, University of Chicago Law School. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit experience can be limiting as well as helpful. Open up your mind. Your customer's experience is probably not the same as yours. Your perception may not be that of your customer. Diamond suit research in an informal or formal way the perceptions and habits of your customers. You might be quite surprised. Diamond suit adapt the do not know attitude of the man from Mars without experience on Earth and listen, listen, listen. Diamond suit don't assume what you feel and what you know is true of the world. 102 Decision making. 35 Douglas McGregor gained great renown when he first developed his Theory X and Y and wrote The Human Side of Enterprise. Theory X is the assumption that employees are all lazy oafs trying to get away with working as little as possible, and Theory Y assumes people want to work and be successful. The theory is far from outdated, and like many pieces of wisdom, it is elegantly simple and has to do with the basic assumption on your part as to who your associate is. I know from my Rockhurst University MBA students year after year that although obvious, Theory Y is far from universal practice in the workplace. Are you a Theory Y manager? Rarely. Some of the time? All of the time? Theory Y is a principle well worth thinking out with regard to your personal management practices. Never underrate the ability of your employees to clearly read your feelings about them. Do you view your associates as go-getters or slackers? Hellsberg Hint 103. Success sometimes is more attitude than aptitude. Anonymous leaders know that the higher up you go, the more gently down you reach. Sheila Murray Bethel, speaker, author, businesswoman. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit assume the best of your associates. Diamond suit trust them. Believe in them. When you get burned by one person, don't get embittered with all others and lose faith in everyone forever. Suggested reading, first, Break All the Rules, by Marcus Buckingham and Kurt Kaufman, and The Human Side of Enterprise, by Douglas McGregor. 104 Decision making. 36 The Enron debacle challenged me to take Dad's advice on finding a positive in this incredibly negative situation. One can only grieve for the thousands who suffered from the cruelty, greed, and dishonesty of the few. After much thought, knowing dishonesty and greed will never cease to exist, perhaps we can be hopeful that employees of all companies will be less naive and hold their employers to a higher standard than ever. Employers may increasingly realize the importance of high standards for purely business reasons, if not moral ones. Sins of omission and half-truths are perceived and can destroy credibility earned over many, many years. The fullest communication, without endangering a company, with associates of the company, especially bad news, is far healthier coming from you first rather than from exaggerated rumors arriving prior to your dealing with such information. My experience says that associates are most appreciative of information, including negative information, and hearing it promptly and accurately. If you are good to your company associates, your associates will be good to your company. The positive fallout from Enron. Hellsberg Hint 105. No amount of ability is the slightest avail without honor. Andrew Carnegie, 1835 to 1919, industrialist and philanthropist. The Enron case is undoubtedly a tragedy, but it is important not to lose sight of the likely positive consequences of Enron's demise. As a result of Enron's crash, and the ensuing outrage, the U.S. corporate system will emerge stronger and more effective than it was. The Financial Times. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit exposure to the corporate fraud and greed of a few companies has highlighted the importance of avoiding misleading statements or actions by your company. Diamond suit. You must expect cynicism based on recent history and hold yourself and your associates to high standards. Diamond suit. The more quickly the news, bad or good, gets to your associates from you, the better chance you have of avoiding communication challenges. Diamond suit omission can be as damaging as commission. 106 Decision making. 37 An example of luck would be my chance meeting with Warren Buffett on the streets of New York. I was prepared because I had been attending his annual meetings for a few years and felt I knew the kind of person he was. I also was in New York dealing with the very subject I spoke to him about, selling the company, and there was top-of-mind awareness of my mission. Add in the unmitigated gall to walk up to him, introduce myself, and offer to sell the company to him, and you have an uncanny case of luck. There are many interesting and clever definitions of luck, for instance, where preparedness meets opportunity. Entrepreneurs are expert at putting these two together and creating serendipitous situations that seem miraculous when one looks back at them. Serendipity is far from totally accidental in many cases. You can make it happen if your mind is focused on your goals and you are ready for some pretty unlikely scenarios. After a presentation at the University of Kansas, I was asked about luck. I ascribed a good part of my success to it. After I left the class, I thought to myself, you did that young man a great disservice by agreeing with him about luck. My reasoning is that by ascribing some of my success to luck, though undoubtedly true, I was how to have uncanny luck. Hellsberg hint 107. Giving him an excuse to fail, that is, I wasn't lucky like Barnett. Like most successful entrepreneurs, I certainly have had more than my share of good luck. I deliberately lie about this to my MBA classes at Rockhurst University. I tell them I am lying about it. I explain that I am lying in order to leave the responsibility and the onus on each individual for success. My goal with you as the reader is the same. Good and bad luck is a synonym, in the great majority of instances, for good and bad judgment. John Chatfield, 1695 to 1753, Revolutionary War soldier. There is an old saying, the harder you try the luckier you get. I kind of like that definition of luck. Gerald Ford, 38th U.S. President. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit luck is where preparedness meets opportunity. Diamond suit be alert for serendipitous opportunities. Diamond suit make luck happen by staying alert to potential dream scenarios. They will happen to someone, why not you? 108 Decision making. 38 In the 1970s we talked about someday going public. In the 1990s when we went to Morgan Stanley to ask what were our ownership options, they said whatever we wanted, that the company was of a quality to do anything including going public. We were indecisive to the point where we simultaneously got ready for a public offering while pursuing the merger and buyout options. We spent a goodly sum on printing up a preliminary prospectus and developing a stock plan for associates. Unfortunately, that relates to one of the flaws I find in myself. Sometimes the brain marination takes too long and additional costs are incurred. I live with this by explaining to myself that when you hire someone with any ability you must live with their defects. Although I had little choice when I hired myself on my natal day, this helps me rationalize some of my faults. At any rate, after wasting the time and the dollars involved in partial preparations to go public, I realized that in my provincial view that move would be the ruination of the company. We would be pushed for quarterly earnings at the expense of the long-run profits, and top people in the company would be investing great amounts of time and effort in ways that did not sell more diamonds, such as shareholders' meetings, analysts' meetings, public relations planning, ad nauseum. Further, I would be publicizing my own stupidity, which is guaranteed to occur from time to time. The price of privacy, and all prehistoric man looks at going public. Hellsberg hint 109. These other factors made not going public a no-brainer for me. I am somewhat stupefied as to why I had to go through such agony and expense to reach what for me became a most obvious decision. Yes, I summarized my conclusion as that would ruin the company. For me it would have, and since perception is reality, that is valid in my case. To do two things at once is to do neither. Publilius Syrus, c. 1st century BCE, writer mining for diamonds. Diamond suit when considering going public, put pluses and minuses on the yellow legal pad. Diamond suit pluses include access to capital markets and possibly the opportunity for financial gain for all associates of the company. Diamond suit consider what happens when the stock price falls from time to time, as it inevitably will. Diamond suit, are you prepared for key managers to spend a great deal of time away from the business, really, in a second business? Diamond suit, in addition to loss of focus, are you prepared for a whole new category of expense connected with being a public company? 110 Decision making. 39 In the 1940s, my dad's brilliant and virtually lifelong attorney, Arthur Magg, went to Washington with the executive vice president of Helzberg Diamonds to visit a federal agency. As they strolled out after the meeting, Magg turned to him and said, "What did you learn?" This is a question to ask yourself after each successful and, especially, unsuccessful experience. What did I learn? What is the value in your future, whether it be in your family life, your professional life, or both? Helzberg Diamonds opened a very successful store in California and we were, of course, very pleased. We then asked ourselves this question and made a list of the positive factors that we felt had caused the success of this venture. If the experience was unsuccessful, the question is, how can we prevent this from happening again? If it was successful, the whys are vitally important so you can repeat the performance. Another trick of learning is to believe that you are going to have to teach the subject in the future. For some reason, this technique helps most folks improve learning. What did I learn? Helzberg Hint 111. The 3-word memory course, attention improves retention. Anonymous mining for diamonds. Diamond suit ask, what did I learn? Diamond suit ask, how will I prevent this from happening in the future? Diamond suit ask, how can I repeat this successful outcome in the future? Diamond suit assume you must teach what you are being taught as a technique to power up your learning. 112 Decision making. 40 Many years ago, a fascinating economist from Rutgers University named Paul Nadler spoke to a large group of business people. He condemned us for no longer worrying about inflation because it had dropped from 12% to 6% and told us that you could put a rat in lukewarm water and raise the temperature 1 degree an hour and he would not jump out even when the water started boiling. When you analyze the compound effect of 6% annual inflation, it is extremely serious and would create an incredible effect over time. He have never forgotten the lesson he taught us. On the opposite side of Professor Nadler's coin there is an interesting lesson on pricing items that are repeat purchases and on which the price is noticeable and remembered. Turning his principle on its head tells you that when possible and practical, prices should be raised in very minute amounts over a long period, even if the need for an increase does not exist at a given time. Your customers will be far happier with the price if you avoid a major surprise and shock. Our children's school hadn't raised tuition for many years and then was faced with the need for a major increase within a 1-year period. The sudden increase created great dissatisfaction within the parent community. Our synagogue did not raise dues when it was not necessary and then was faced with the necessity of major readjustments over a very short period. This sudden increase created great unrest and concern. How to raise your prices. Helzberg Hint 113. Within the congregation. Our school and synagogue should have considered boiling the rat. Right way, wrong way, boiling the rat, boiling the customer. Year 1 $1,000, $1,000 annual no increase, 41.9% then 41.9% increase in year 7 year 2 $1,060 $1,000 year 3 $1,123 $1,000 year 4 $1,191 $1,000 year 5 $1,262 $1,000 year 6 $1,338 $1,000 year 7 $1,419 $1,419 total $7,393 $6,419 extra revenue in the example is $974. Result: more revenue and happier customers as well as additional cash flow in 2nd through 6 years. If you own C's Candy, and you look in the mirror and say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, how much do I charge for candy this fall?" and it says more, that's a good business. Warren Buffett, investor mining for diamonds. Diamond suit small jumps each year. No major shocks. Diamond suit do not wait till the price change is necessary, if practical and possible, move in small increments regardless. Diamond suit rule of 72, if you divide 72 by the percentage of increase, that tells you how many years it will take to double the initial amount. Example, 72 divided by 6% equals 12 years to double initial amount. 114 Decision making. 41 Dear ETB, I have repeatedly heard MBA students say they could not come up with a new idea and that is what they were waiting for to start their business. After hearing this repeatedly year after year, I was hit with a blinding flash of the obvious. After sharing my thoughts with these students, I noticed that it resonated with them, thus this letter to you. Far from needing a new idea, you may be better off taking an existing business and doing it better, much better, than it is currently being executed in the marketplace. After all, Sony did not invent television, nor did Dell invent the computer. There are 2 basic reasons. First, you need not be a pioneer and go down a new exploration path. Second, you have the opportunity to analyze an industry, work in it and study it before you embark on your journey. My own perception is that most of the great entrepreneurial successes are based on those who did it better rather than those who did it first. The point is that if you are truly driven to be an entrepreneur, you need not wait till the skies open up and pour a sparkling new idea on you. You can also talk to customers of those businesses to ask, what do you like in the service or merchandise you are getting? What do you not like in the service or merchandise you are getting? An open letter to the entrepreneur to be Hellsberg. Hint 115. What would you like in service or merchandise that you are not getting? Your due diligence should also include suppliers, potential customers, and even industry competitors in other areas of the country where you would not be operating. You may also be amazed to find some in your own area that will talk to you. If you can handle rejection, call lots of folks. If you cannot, you better think twice about your entrepreneurial journey. Lots of rejection is one of the rewards of entrepreneurship. I wish you good hunting and much success. Barnett Mining for Diamonds. Diamond suit. You need not invent a new industry or business to be successful. Diamond suit. Consider doing things far better in an existing type of business. Diamond suit. Existing businesses enable you to do deep due diligence in that industry. Diamond suit. The level of risk can be far less when going into an existing industry because of your ability to research. Diamond suit. The option of buying an existing business does not exist if you want to originate a new one. Diamond suit. Talk to customers, suppliers, and potential competitors in the industry. Ask, 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 learn, learn, learn. You are now a sponge. Diamond suit. Keep a diary of all you learned. Diamond suit. Write down conclusions as you go through this process. It will be interesting to look back and see how they change along the way. Diamond suit. Learn on the other guy's nickel. Diamond suit. Pioneers are people with arrows in their backs. 116 Decision making. There are many things that will catch my eye, but there are only a few that catch my heart. It is those I consider to pursue. Tim Redmond, writer. I use not only all the brains I have, but all the brains I can borrow. Woodrow Wilson, 1856 to 1924, 28th U.S. President. An open letter to the entrepreneur to be 117. 118 42 A telling and insightful movie scene was in Kramer vs. Kramer when Howard Duff, as Dustin Hoffman's lawyer, told him one of his favorite ways of analysis was with a legal pad, putting the pluses and minuses on opposite sides of the page. He then showed Hoffman why he had a very poor case in the divorce with his wife. The yellow legal pad approach is a good one for many decisions and certainly when deciding if you should become an entrepreneur. There is a price to be paid. You had best recognize it before going in and be sure your spouse and family understand it. According to one of my MBA students, he learned 3 things about entrepreneurs. 1. They are control freaks. 2. They are workaholics. 3. They are divorced. Oliver Wendell Holmes once said, "All generalizations are wrong including this one, however, some of these apply some of the time and all of them apply some of the time." In my own case, the workaholic part did apply. The control freak scenario did not apply. In fact, I have condemned myself many times for being an abdicator rather than a delegator. The company executives who reported to me kept me up to date. Should you make the plunge? Hellsberg hint. They basically did what excited and challenged them within the overall direction of the company, which was an extremely simple one, that is, to be the highest dollar sales jeweler in every mall * and to build ourselves as a quality company with the very best personnel on the face of the earth. However, the control freak problem may explain why some entrepreneurs are unable to keep great people who do not want to be controlled and want responsibility and authority. Potential entrepreneurs must also realize that if they become entrepreneurs, they will be going to work for the worst boss they could possibly have themselves. There can be no tougher boss, and you need to acknowledge that before putting your toe in the water. One of the outstanding values of the current generation of entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs is that they definitely give a great deal of thought to the impact upon their family. There is really no getting around it. Being an entrepreneur will steal some family time. You need a highly supportive spouse and your own willingness to lose a certain amount of time with your family. You cannot choose the times for the emergencies to happen, and they will impact your time and life. The pluses are, depending on your personal needs and values, unlimited in terms of relationships, the joy of enriching the lives of others, the joy of building a quality business regardless of size, and the joy of being your own boss. Your company is best treated like a precious child and treasured in terms of your feelings for your associates. You are dependent on them for your success, and it's safest never to forget this even in moments of anger or whim. You cannot mislead them or your customer, regardless of the circumstances. Few entrepreneurs exist who have not gone through some terrifying times. However you handle them, feel good about it if your actions are well considered and thought through. Should you make the plunge? 119 * After accomplishing the goal of being the jeweler in the mall with the highest dollar sales per square foot, we changed our goal to being the highest dollar volume jeweler in the mall. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. Milton Berle, comedian and television personality. Small opportunities are often the beginning of great enterprises. Demos thence, 384 to 322 BCE, Greek orator. Most of us never recognize opportunity until it goes to work in our competitor's business. P.L. Endar. It's never too late to be what you might have been. George Eliot, 1819 to 1880, writer. Mining for diamonds. Diamond Suit. Use the yellow legal pad approach to start the decision process regarding your entrepreneurship. Diamond Suit. Talk to others you respect, adding pluses and minuses as you go. Diamond Suit. Share with your spouse and family your thoughts and get their feelings. Diamond Suit. Analyze the financial and emotional components of the situation. Diamond Suit. Avoid overly rosy scenarios. Diamond Suit. Think out the worst case scenario, financially and emotionally. 120 Decision making. Part 3. Hiring. 43. A diamond cutter, in order to judge whether he or she has a superior stone, polishes a little window in the rough so that the kind of quality that exists inside can be seen. Seeing the quality of the rough diamond, he or she determines how best to cut it for the highest economic value. Picking out the right individual to hire is a lot like cutting a diamond. You've heard of a diamond in the rough. A diamond in its uncut state, the rough, resembles a dull, whitish rock. Regardless of how skilled you are at cutting, the rough diamond must be of superior quality right from the start. Otherwise, no matter how good the cutting, you'll end up with an inferior product. Just as you can't take a bad rough stone and turn it into a great diamond, you can't turn an ill-fitted applicant into a great sales manager or marketing director or anything else, no matter how much you wish your training would make it happen. Think of the interview process as polishing a window in the rough diamond to see what's inside. You can accomplish this by encouraging the applicants to talk about themselves, their skills, their likes and dislikes, their approach to solving problems, why they left their last job, how they deal with changes and stress, and how they interact with people in different situations. It's easy to tell someone to hire well. It's another thing to apply the right mix of science and art to the undertaking. Hiring wisely, how to choose good people. Hellsberg Hint 123. Hiring employees, and I mean good employees, may be the hardest task you will ever have to perform. It is arguably the most important. Larry Bossidy, former head of Allied Signal, said, "Good people hire good people." I fear the reverse is also true. The choices you make can either enrich or sap the life of your business for some time. It often comes down to how you prepare for that initial interview. A list of focused questions can direct a job interview in a way that will help you develop an informed impression of a candidate. Merely hoping that chance has delivered just the perfect applicant to your office is not the most skillful tactic. Hiring the right person requires patience on your part, but if you know who and what you're looking for, the task can be made easier and the interview itself can be made more rewarding. I learned from my mentors always to look for character, values, and people skills. Hire someone who is not only a good fit for the job but, equally important, a good fit for the company culture. The trainer has not yet been born who can turn poor or ill-fitting material into a success. Nor the diamond cutter who can turn poor rough into the hope diamond. While individual ability is a plus, and we all love the free-thinking loner in the movies, someone who can't get along with other people in a team setting will create headaches you don't need. Don't forget to analyze fit as well as ability. When you're excited about your company, it's hard to remain mum. However, a good rule of thumb is to let the job applicant do 80% of the talking. Good reporters know that people reveal more about themselves when they are asked open-ended questions, which allow them to talk freely and to offer their opinions on a range of topics. For instance, you can learn about a person's people skills by asking him or her to describe in detail the handling of an office conflict or other problem in the past. Allowing the applicant to offer information also enables him or her to volunteer answers to questions you cannot legally. 124 Hiring. Ask. Be sure to review your list of questions to make sure they are in compliance with current law. Use closed-ended questions, those answered by yes, no, or a statement of fact, when you want to know something specific, what the applicant's salary expectations are, or when he or she can begin work. You will also want to know the applicant's expectations of you, just as you will make clear your expectations. Have several people interview the applicant, so you can get other people's opinions. Other people will see what you might have missed. Interview the applicant on multiple days. Interviewees have good days and bad days, as do interviewers. If possible, have the applicant visit the workplace for a day, so each of you can get a better feel for each other, the job, and the culture. Don't be hurried, and don't succumb to pressure. If an applicant is in a rush and says another job offer is on the table, it's better to tell him or her to take it than to rush to a decision without sufficient information. No surprises is the most important rule of this game, for both you and the job applicant. Always check references. Another rule of thumb is that a top job deserves 10 reference checks. A simple way to do this is to take the names of the references the applicant gave you and ask them for other references, especially those of peers, customers, and other professionals who know the applicant and his or her reputation. One method that works well sometimes is letting the reference talk about strengths at length, then saying, "Well, we all have our weaknesses." What are his? You need the applicant's signed permission to make a check of credit and police records. There are outside services which make a profession of doing such checks. If the job is a really important one, it can be well worth your time to meet eyeball to eyeball with some of your applicant's references, even if it necessitates travel. In the end, you are trying to piece together a realistic picture of a candidate's past job performance and potential. Interviewing is an art rather than a science. Through friendly conversation you may lead the candidate to reveal basic personality traits, interests, and skills. Since we hire people to hiring wisely, how to choose good people 125. Perform the task they like to do and do well. Focus your questions to get the interviewee to showcase the strengths, passions, and successes that form his or her self-image. One strong suggestion. Do not ask about hypothetical situations. Ask only about actual situations. For example, what was the toughest problem you have had, in personnel, selling, with your boss, etc., and how did you handle it? Preparing a list of questions beforehand allows you to think through what you want to learn about the candidate. Here are some examples of interview questions, many of which were generously shared with me by other entrepreneurs over the years. They can serve as conversation starters and perhaps give you leads to the insights you need. Take a few minutes to tell me about yourself, your education, experience in business, and your responsibilities at your other jobs. What subjects did you enjoy most in school? What did you enjoy most about school? What teachers? Why? Why are you leaving your last job? What did you do at your last job? What were your responsibilities? What did you like most about your last job? What did you like least? Which of all the jobs you've had did you like the best? Why? If I contacted your previous employers, what would I be told? Other than the position for which you are a candidate, what type of position most interests you? What would you say are your best qualities? What do you think are your major strengths? Weaknesses? What is your goal for the next 5 years? Why are you interested in working for us? 126 Hiring. Why do you feel you are a good salesperson, or executive, leader, etc.? Do you think of yourself as competitive? Why? On your last sales job, where did you rank with others? Why? Do you feel that you are aggressive? Why? Why not? One requirement of the job is to work 4 or 5 nights per week. Can you handle that? How do you feel about being transferred from the area at some time? Would that create concerns for you? If you could have made one suggestion to management in your last job, what would it have been? Describe the best boss you ever had. Describe the worst boss you ever had. What have you done that you're most proud of? What kinds of things bother you the most? People have different motivations for working. Tell me about yours. If you had to choose a new career, what would you choose? Use 3 adjectives to describe yourself. How would your subordinates describe you? When do you think you will have arrived in your career? What is your definition of success? Under what kinds of conditions do you feel you learn best? Describe an unpleasant, stressful, on-the-job situation and tell me how you dealt with it. We have all goofed in the past. Tell me about your biggest goof. What did you learn? What needs would you expect to satisfy by accepting this position? What else should I know about your qualifications, about you? Is there anything else you want to tell me about yourself? Hiring wisely, how to choose good people 127. What else would you like to know about the job? The company? Why do you think I should hire you? What are your expectations of the company? Of me? Remember to ask follow-up questions as well. For example, if the applicant describes a favorite teacher a certain way, ask why he thinks that particular teacher related best to him. Using some of these questions and their natural follow-ups may even make the task of interviewing fun. There is no way you can overinvest in honing your interviewing skills. The dividends of hiring the right person for the job are well worth all the effort you put into the process. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Look first for character, values, people skills, and cultural fit. Diamond suit. Ask open-ended questions that allow applicants to reveal more useful information about themselves. Diamond suit. Don't allow yourself to be pressured to make a quick, uninformed decision. Diamond suit. Have other people interview the applicant, and check as many references as possible. Ask references for other references. Diamond suit. No hypothetical questions, please real-life stuff only. Diamond suit. Your headhunter, who gets paid only if you hire, should not be the only reference checker. If Larry Bossidy, head of Allied Signal, now merged into Honeywell Corporation, felt it was important for him to personally check references on dozens of people, you can too. Diamond suit. 80 to 90% of success depends on hiring people with good potential. You cannot create the Hope Diamond out of poor material. 128. Hiring. The greatest thing you can do for your competition: hiring poorly. Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft. For employee success, loyalty and integrity are equally as important as ability. Harry F. Banks, author. Never hire someone who knows less than you do about what he's, or she's, hired to do. Malcolm Forbes, 1919 to 1990, American publisher. Hiring wisely, how to choose good people. 129. 130. 44. After a particularly tough decision to pass over good, long-standing Helzberg associates, we hired an executive from outside for the job of vice president of merchandising. Time proved it was the right move. One veteran associate who had applied for the job later told me he realized we were right to hire an outside person with the broader skill set for that management position. He clearly told me he could not have done for the company what the new vice president had done. Give good people credit for knowing what's right for the long run. Which is better, to hire from outside or from inside the company? Unfortunately, there's no one way to answer that question. It all depends on what your needs are at the time. How do you make this critical decision for the good of the company? Very carefully. Promote from within and you reward top performers who have already helped you build the institution. This reinforces the existing culture and shows other staff that career opportunities exist in the company for talented people to move up to higher positions. However, hard questions must be asked. Is someone in the company currently ready and able to be promoted to the job? On the other hand, hire from outside and you may see a wave of new ideas and techniques flow into your company. Do when to look outside or stay inside to fill that job. Helzberg hint. To experience you and your associates do not have, you may experience a new set of business relationships and a fresh perspective on the business. This can be very energizing. At Helzberg Diamonds, when new folks brought in wide-ranging experience, the company truly benefited from the new knowledge and experience. The infusion of new thinking helped existing staff also grow and improve. However, if you hire from outside, it means you must pass up employees who have been with the company and may be hurt or even angered by your decision. On the other hand, if talented managers from outside join you and the company expands and does better, your staff may be delighted, especially when they receive a share of the ensuing profits. You will need to do the right thing for the company even if it is the hard thing, because when push comes to shove, and in today's competitive business climate it always does, if you don't have the right people in the right positions, you have neglected your duty and harmed the company. You may lose some sleep over your decision. I know I did, and the friendlier you are with the people involved, the more difficult it becomes to make decisions objectively. I would therefore make the case that, for this very reason, you can't be buddies with your staff. It's agonizing to make these decisions for the good of the company. At a seminar I attended, the point was made by saying, you can't play golf with them on Sunday and fire them on Monday. When to look outside or stay inside to fill that job. 131. You must look into people, as well as at them. Lord Chesterfield, 1694 to 1773, English politician. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. People of merit exist inside and outside of the company. The right combination of promotions from within and hires from outside can help you build the company beyond your dreams. Diamond suit don't promote an affable associate just because you like him or her. Diamond suit handle promotions and outside hires fairly and objectively, using as the only yardstick what is best for the company. 132. Hiring. 45. I was negotiating a very important contract in 1970. In fact, the conversations were going so well that the individual I was negotiating with felt he could tell me that his attorney said I had incompetent counsel. I assumed competence on the part of my attorney because I was dealing with a prestigious law firm. I did not ask how many of that type of contract this person had done, nor did I ask for references whom I could call or better yet go see to be satisfied. I got exactly what I deserved. What did I learn? I did the lousy job, not my attorney. If I had to have bypass surgery, I'd insist on the most experienced heart surgeon available, not someone who only does one bypass operation a year. It should be the same when picking any professional, and at some point in your business career you will need the services of professionals. You need to know as much as possible about who will be handling your needs, how much experience this person has in that particular field, and check references. Whether you need to draw up a simple contract or buy a building, having a talented, experienced expert who can guide you through the minefields can save you big bucks and lots of future problems. That's why you need to hire a professional with the same care that you would use to hire a new employee. If you are concerned enough to seek costly expert advice, you hiring the right lawyer, CPA, or other professional. Hellsberg hit 133. Should be concerned enough to check out the individual or individuals who will give you that advice. Big law firms, just like big advertising firms and accounting firms, shuffle a lot of work they consider routine to their junior associates. It gives these junior associates the experience they need to become junior partners. The problem is that they are learning on your dime. If the work you need done is truly routine, no big deal. If you are negotiating a complicated contract in which you're investing a lot of time, money, and sweat, you'd better have the firepower you need or you'll take a lot of direct hits. Don't be intimidated by an impressively long list of partners or the palatial office decor. That's just to impress you. Nor should you be impressed with fancy client names unless you talk directly to the individual who worked with your prospective professional. It's up to you to make sure you get top talent. You know you'd check references if you were hiring a new employee. Well, this professional is a new employee. If you suspect a man, don't employ him, and if you employ him, don't suspect him. Chinese proverb. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Don't be overly impressed by firm names or client names. Diamond suit. Make sure the professional has done this kind of work before. Diamond suit. Personally check the references of the professional who will actually be handling your needs. 134. Hiring. 46. Hellsberg diamonds really started to progress mightily in the 1970s. I was fortunate in knowing where my greatest weaknesses lie and was able to find the perfect partner. The new executive vice president, Martin Ross, joined the company. He had a giant amount of experience. He had the right background and installed budgeting. Somehow we had survived since 1915 without formal budgeting, and what the sophisticated like to call controls. He was fortunate in not having founder's syndrome, in great part because I was not the founder and I had a great role model, Dad, who knew how to delegate and believed in it. So with our good people we just got the hell out of the way. I believe we really focused on outcomes. Being frightened about survival focuses you on output and not input. As has been said, nothing focuses the mind like knowing you are to be executed in the morning. That was my state of mind. This taught me the importance of knowing myself and using only my strengths, and letting others use their complementary strengths. I have seen some entrepreneurs fall into a common trap of thinking they have to be the best at nearly everything to be done in the business. Possibly this explains why some managers fail to delegate in ways that would be best for the business. Why would anyone set such a tough set of expectations and practices? One explanation is simply ego. It doesn't matter the job or task, these leaders think they should be the best at it. Building on everyone's strengths. Hellsberg Hint 135. They may even come to believe erroneously that they are the best at everything. This dangerous condition is appropriately called founder's syndrome. As the founder of a business, you have tremendous control over what work gets done. You may even be doing everything by yourself in the beginning. You may be in a position to make all the decisions. But as your business grows, you encounter new challenges that require a higher level of specific skills and increased time constraints along with your changed priorities. If the business is a success, you will find it necessary to hire people who possess the strengths and talents needed, but you must decide what strengths and talents to look for. In a world with huge amounts of diversity among individuals, with each possessing a unique combination of strengths and weaknesses, how do you identify the people with the strengths best suited for your company? The answer begins with you, and it deals with your ego. For optimum success, you must get to know your own strengths and weaknesses. That's a tough assessment for many. But you must be fearless in it, and be completely honest with yourself. Only by knowing yourself will you know how to choose the ideal partners. Of course, if you already have a staff, you must also assess their strengths and weaknesses in the context of the work that needs to be done as you grow or change direction. Then you are in a position to hire individuals whose skills, strengths, and weaknesses complement or surpass you or your teams. Every once in a while, a candidate will come along who offers a special opportunity. When this chance comes along, pause. Take a deep breath. Do not perceive this person as a threat. Rein in your ego. Rather than be a jack of all trades and master of none, why not view yourself as a master chef who relishes the task of selecting the right ingredients to build a gourmet organization? Remember, your priority is to hire the people with the best combination of skills and talents for your organization at its present stage, and for its future development. 136. Hiring. Remember also that you can't hire great people and then micromanage them. Control-freak entrepreneurs don't keep top people. Talented leaders will jump ship when they feel second-guessed, manipulated, and discredited. They need to feel a sense of ownership. You have to give them breathing room. A big reason for the national success of Hellsberg Diamonds is that we hired talented and smart people and then got out of their way. Warren Buffett was so impressed with these same leaders that when he bought the company in 1995, he retained them to manage and run the company. It was a great thrill to us that Buffett felt so much confidence in the gourmet organization that we had put together. When you take your ego out of the picture, you may be more able to make judgments about the future of your business dispassionately. You can honestly answer the question, what is best for the company? You can accept your own personal limits and rejoice that other talented people can take the company even farther than you might have alone. Ironically, egoless management can be your greatest strength. Surrounding yourself with dwarfs does not make you a giant. Yiddish folk saying mining for diamonds diamond suit. Egoless managers not only recognize their weaknesses but aren't afraid to hire people whose strengths far outshine their own. Diamond suit. Consider viewing your role as the master chef selecting the best ingredients to make a gourmet organization. Diamond suit. Hire talented people and get out of their way. Diamond suit. If you cannot let others paddle the boat without interference in their areas of responsibility, by all means do not hire those strong leaders. Building on everyone's strengths. 137. 138. 47. Dad trained us not to try to sell to friends or relatives, which saved unlimited time when I followed the rule. When I violated it, I ended up spending an incredible amount of time, my own and possibly that of associates who helped me, while making an incredibly small amount of money. This counterproductive activity was one that I was most happy to avoid. I also have come to believe that doing business with friends or relatives in any regard can ruin relationships, be awkward, and leave you and your friend or relative with regrets. This is a very personal bias, but one I nonetheless feel should be shared. When you violate this rule, and you inevitably will, tiptoe ever so carefully so you preserve your relationship. This maxim is based on my training and experience. Certainly, some industries such as insurance might preach the opposite and have built businesses on selling those they know. We felt fortunate that we were able to operate with the opposite approach. Negotiating with those with whom we have personal relationships can be painful, awkward, and confusing, and at times leaves permanent tears in the fabric of friendship. The unstated question, "Are you my friend or my adversary?" may confuse business issues. The more business and personal life can be separated, the better sums up my feelings. This does not mean you do not serve those who wish you to serve. Selling to and hiring friends and relatives. Hellsberg hint. Them. However, you need not proactively seek that business unless it is an integral part of your business. What about hiring friends and family? If you are doomed to be charitable, do not. Take care of that person personally in any way you choose, but do not destroy the culture and fabric of the business for a sinecure, a person paid totally out of proportion to their duties. What about a talented friend or family member who wants to join your organization? There is no surefire solution. This person may be a great addition to the company and its future. You need to have a heart-to-heart talk explaining the ground rules and the necessity of their towing the line closer than others. Be sure to discuss how things will work if things do not work out. That bridge is easier to cross in advance than at the time of firing. Make written notes for each party. Know that regardless of how friendly the divorce may be, it could damage your relationship with this individual and possibly with those related parties in the family, such as a spouse, as in firing your sister-in-law or brother-in-law. You'd best discuss the worst-case scenario with your spouse at the initial decision-making time before the individual is hired. See if it's realistic to take the gamble that may or may not work out. Family businesses are tricky, and there is a pretty sizable cottage industry trying to help folks through the minefields they almost inevitably create. Selling to and hiring friends and relatives. 139. A friendship founded on business is better than a business founded on friendship. John D. Rockefeller, businessman mining for diamonds. Diamond suit. Be aware of the perils of mixing friendship and business. The two can get confused at times and be counterproductive to both. Diamond suit. Tread lightly and carefully when mixing the two. Diamond suit. If practical and appropriate, have an associate handle the transaction. Diamond suit. Consider hiring only relatives or friends who may be great assets to the business. Keep business and charity totally separate. If your goal is to help someone, do it outside of the business. Diamond suit. Fully discuss the worst-case scenario with your friend or relative. If it is a relative, discuss it with your spouse. The what if it does not work scenario must be discussed in detail with the potential associate and your spouse. Diamond suit. Know that even though you discuss the possibility of things not working out and agree to preserve the relationship as it was prior to the hiring, it will inevitably change when you pull the trigger. Be prepared and prepare your spouse. Diamond suit. Analyze fully the risk-reward ratio of hiring your friend/relative. 140. Hiring. Part 4. Inspiring. 48. At Hellsberg Diamonds, we gave careful attention to the people who were at the front lines. The top 25 sales associates each month received a small gift with a handwritten personal note from me. I enjoyed shopping for and sending these gifts, which were mailed to each associate's store for all to see. This way, these winning associates were recognized by their colleagues as well as by the company. Seeing these gifts also motivated other associates to raise their performances to win similar recognition the next month. Although some of the gift items were expendable, even shareable, such as giant cans of popcorn, many were more permanent and personalized mementos, giving an individual an added opportunity to recount the accomplishment to a friend or neighbor when asked about the gift keychain or clock. The more effective a relationship you have with your staff, the better you will know what kind of recognition reinforces the behavior you want to encourage. One day I wrote the post office, yes, the post office, about some wonderful service I had received from a particular individual. The next time I saw him he told me how much he appreciated it, that it was food for the soul, and he nearly cried. When you have something nice to say, why not say it? Backslapping attaboys are not meaningful and can actually be insulting to any intelligent person. Specifics are, such as recognizing great work, how to motivate associates. Hellsberg Hint 143. Great customer comment cards mailed to me and sending them directly to the individual who got the great compliment from the customer with a personal handwritten thank you note. These were proudly displayed on the bulletin board in each store and seemed to stay up forever. Did they inspire more of the same? You decide. I admit I loved doing it, but I felt it was great positive reinforcement. Yes, when the comments were negative we also followed up. Great teachers understand the power of positive reinforcement to increase desired behaviors, and so do great entrepreneurs and managers. Unless you were a very savvy child, you didn't realize that the teacher who praised you was using a scientifically proven motivational technique, but you felt its powerful effect. In business, the sincere use of positive reinforcement has proven effective time after time. Recognizing your staff for good work buoys their attitudes and boosts effectiveness. To be effective, positive reinforcement should be timely and specific to the behavior you are trying to reinforce. Just telling someone, "You're doing a good job," doesn't sufficiently tell someone what he or she is doing well. More importantly, it doesn't effectively communicate that you paid careful attention to the employee's performance. Vague and overly elaborate praise loses its motivational power and begins to be perceived as less than sincere. In contrast, telling a person, "I appreciate the way you responded to the angry customer," recognizes a specific behavior and motivates the person to build on that strength. Timeliness of reinforcement is important as well. If you wait too long to recognize someone, the behavior you wanted to encourage may no longer even be occurring. Don't underestimate the power of personal thank you notes. While typed notes are okay, the more personalized the notes, the better. The few seconds it takes to write a personal note or a handwritten yes on a typed note tells the recipient you care, that you personally noticed the achievement. I'm amazed at how 144 inspiring. Easy and effective this technique is and how rarely it's used. However, the books by and about some of the great business leaders retell the story of handwritten notes. Sometimes, they are saved for years. Is money a motivator? According to management research, the answer is sometimes. It depends on the employee, the circumstances, the amount, and how one perceives the value of money. Financial bonuses can provide rewards when carefully tied to the right things. Even so, salaries by themselves are not always strong motivators. Dr. Frederick Herzberg, in his classic 1968 article in the Harvard Business Review, addressed this issue. When salaries are fair, he wrote, they are no more motivating than a clean restroom. Thus Herzberg maintained that money is merely hygiene. But when people perceive salaries to be unfair, then money becomes a dissatisfier. Competition can provide a lot of motivation. Being number one is a big part of this brew, and people with winning attitudes get results. I gleefully remember one of our managers' reaction to receiving his bonus. He immediately asked, "Is this the biggest?" Now, some bosses might have thought him to be quite rude. I thought him a winner. We asked ourselves, would he rather have a number one slot and get $1,000 or the $10,000 he actually got? Appreciation sincerely shown is a powerful motivator. Critical words, on the other hand, land sharply and are not easily forgotten. Some managers believe that in order to control their staffs they have to be stingy with praise. Some even think the only way to get their people to perform is to kick butt. These misguided and antiquated techniques might work temporarily, but not for long. Ask yourself, how long you would be motivated by a supervisor who never recognized you for performing well or, worse, nitpick to find negative things to tell you. Sadly, this type of misguided boss is far too common. If you are an entrepreneur, recognizing great work, how to motivate associates 145. It may even have been such a boss that convinced you to become an entrepreneur. Good teachers know this, good parents know this, good managers know this, and the greatest sales organizations know it too. Read up on Mary Kay Ash and Ewing Kauffman and the organizations and successes they built with recognition. You need not be original, just do it. After a person has food, clothing, and shelter, the greatest motivational force of all is appreciation. E. M. Kauffman, 1916 to 1993, pharmaceutical entrepreneur. Mining for diamonds. Diamond suit recognition reinforces behavior. Tie verbal, material, and symbolic recognition to the right stuff. Diamond suit recognition should be specific. Diamond suit. Don't forget the personal touch. A handwritten note can be a powerful motivator. Diamond suit. Promote competition. Find achievements to reward. 146. Inspiring. 49. The classic story of Dr. Roger Bannister is the ultimate tale of goal setting. The 4-minute mile was generally acknowledged to be an impossibility for the human body. No one ever made a rule that the 4-minute mile could not be broken. Yet, it was widely believed that human beings lacked the physical capacity to break that barrier. But Dr. Bannister, being one exceptional athlete, set his sights on that goal and did break it. 1 year after Roger Bannister ran his miracle mile, 37 other athletes did it, two runners in one race. Goals changed and accomplishments changed. All it took was one high achiever to set the standard for success, inspiring thousands of young high school runners to see that it could be done. One day our store manager in Greenspoint Mall in Houston, Texas, asked whether my goal of doubling the sales volume on a per-store basis within a 5-year period was realistic. I told him that I was absolutely not being realistic and that being realistic was not my job. We did double it, although it took longer than 5 years. Encouraging high achievers. Hellsberg hit 147. Because the world continually changes, whatever one is doing today is not going to be good enough for tomorrow. Toyota calls it continuous improvement. Sometimes your high achievers will set standards far beyond yours, throwing out old myths in the process. People are the answer to almost all your challenges. Imagine a sporting event in which neither team knew what counted as a goal. It would be ludicrous. Players would wander around aimlessly. No one could keep score, so there'd be no way to measure the outcome of the game and no feeling of accomplishment for anyone. It's the same in business. Setting clear standards of performance tells people what the goals are. Standards allow us to measure our performances and they tell us how far we've come and how far we have to go to reach our destination. They are essential to a successful business. At Hellsberg Diamonds we gave a lot of thought to performance standards. We found that when used in a positive way, high performance standards motivated high achievers to push the envelope of their abilities. One early goal was to have $1 million average sales per store. When we hit that, the goal became $1.5 million and of course, after achieving that goal the new goal became $2 million. This was no secret. We communicated it ad nauseam. We quit looking at the competition's average volume per store and competed with our own figures every year. Are you using the right benchmarks? If your company compares itself only to its industry and quits striving beyond, malaise has struck. If the company has excelled and challenges itself with its own accomplishments and seeks the next level, it can be continually challenged. These are illustrations of the principle of minimum contentment and maximum success. Regardless of current accomplishments, the great manager's attitude is, "We're just getting started." Your journey never ends. Get your own benchmarks. 148 Inspiring. Build a unique level of success within your personal career and your company. Individual sales records were rewarded with trips to the home base, parties at our family home, and the most fun and dramatic celebrations imaginable. Now $1 million in sales has actually been achieved by individual salespeople. We were delighted to reward high achievers, to keep them motivated. They were setting the standards for the entire company. Most sales competitions are like a pyramid with only a few winners on top. The bulk of the participants know beforehand they are unlikely to win and therefore are turned off. It is important to have lots of winners. IBM had competitions in which participants had a good chance of winning and knew it. Instead of competing against other salespeople, each salesperson had his or her own goal, because of different territories, histories, length of service, customers, and competition. Meeting or exceeding the individual goal resulted in most of the folks being winners. IBM rewards a major part of its sales force as winners. Obviously, in areas where the numbers do not do the whole job, it will be more complicated to set standards. Some may be judgment-based, requiring subjective input. Good people want to earn rewards. They don't want handouts. They resent it when rewards are distributed randomly, unrelated to achievements. Individuals should be allowed, enabled, and empowered to earn dollars, acclaim, and awards. Standards should be tough, fair, and applied to everyone equally, so the resulting rewards are meaningful. Please note that the title of this chapter is Encouraging High Achievers. You must work on what is left in people, not what is left out. These techniques will not turn the unmotivated into the motivated. Not everyone is energized by high standards. Some will try to slide through by doing the minimum. You can't change them, so focus instead on your high achievers. They're the ones who will make your company a success. Encouraging High Achievers 149. Aim high. It is no harder on your gun to shoot the feathers off an eagle than to shoot the fur off a skunk. Troy Moore. If you don't believe in miracles, you are not a realist. David Ben-Gurion, 1886 to 1973, the first Prime Minister of Israel, mining for diamonds. Diamond Suit set high, attainable standards. Diamond Suit celebrate your winners. Diamond Suit design a variety of ways that encourage winners to win. Diamond Suit. A high percentage of your employees should come in as winners, so set up your reward system accordingly. 150 Inspiring. 50 When I went to Camp Nebijman in Wisconsin at the age of 12, I learned from our late beloved camp director, Muggs Lorber, always leave your campsite better than you found it. We youngsters thought he was talking about the campsites we used when we camped out. So we carefully picked up trash and properly put out the campfire, leaving our campsites in great condition for the next campers. 40 years later, I realized he was talking about much more. He was telling us that whatever we touched during our lives should be better when we leave it. This rule has a hard time finding places where it does not apply. It works well in all you do, and of course, you get the ultimate dividend, the satisfaction of knowing that you left your, you fill in the blank, better than you found it at the beginning. In a sense, Warren Buffett has helped to set the example for corporate America by proving that corporate behavior can be open to the closest scrutiny and reveal something to be proud of. The Berkshire campsite and the campsites of the companies over which he has some level of control are examples. His conduct has been exemplary, whether you consider his $100,000 salary, his lack of stock options, his urging companies to expend stock options, or his unique plan allowing shareholders to send their pro rata share of corporate contributions to the charities of their choice. The company budgets charitable, leaving your campsite better than you found it. Hellsberg. Hint 151. Contributions and lets each shareholder decide what charity his or her share goes to. His conduct should help to light the way to more responsible conduct on the part of other CEOs and raise the expectations of shareholders, as opposed to what has been exposed at the Enrons, Tycos, Arthur Andersons, and other such denizens of our business landscape. There are unlimited opportunities in your business and your life to leave your campsite better. Your opportunity certainly includes improving employee benefits and treating employees as the assets they are rather than as folks whom you want to pay the least you can. It includes the non-monetary rewards that invest themselves in the proper treatment of others. Leaving a company better than you found at the beginning helps make the system work better and make more jobs, more expansion, more companies profitable, and more bonuses for more individuals. That is doing far more than satisfying greed. It helps build America. Further, as you help one generation, one starts from a higher point on the ladder, whether it's education or income or just the pure enjoyment of life. Thank you, Muggs, for a great inspiration that has provided lifelong guidance for me. Mining for diamonds. Diamond Suit. Always leave your campsite better than you found it. Diamond Suit. Each year, each month, each day is a new opportunity. Diamond Suit. When you help one generation, you are helping future generations and their progeny. 152. Inspiring. Success. To laugh often and much, to win the respect of the intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, to help in leaving a better social condition, to know that even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is success. Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803-1882, author, poet, philosopher. Leaving your campsite better than you found it. 153. 154. 51. When my brother Charles